CalazCon is a show about war, obsession, colonialist occupation, and the many forms of violence those inflict. See the description for content warnings specific to this episode.
He thinks about the end of his life a lot, and he thinks the best way he could go out is dying for Mike.
She feels maybe she's a different person, and maybe Mike being stuck here doing exactly the same thing as he always was means she isn't a different person either.
There is an element to Ipse where they were programmed as an artificial to be a bodyguard and to lack a sense of self-preservation.
We had that meeting and I told you that I was leaving. I think I was lying.
Do we want to start talking about time passing?
That sounds fun.
Yeah, I guess so.
So, a few weeks after Goliath is felled, what does it look like? Do we want to start with you again, Dom, or shall we start with someone else?
I wouldn't mind someone else starting.
True leaves. It's the morning after she has that conversation with Mike. And it's teary, and it's sweet. And I think she manages to find some energy and some, True isn't the best personal speaker, but she manages to find some time with each of the pilots and speaks to them. Even if she can't guarantee fostering a connection with every one of them, she does at least have that connection in her heart, maybe. And she was never supposed to be here for the long haul. She was a contractor. So, at some point, True, fills the back of the truck with another load of cargo, takes off her contractor's badge or what have you, and leaves. She gets stuck in the enormous traffic jam of ships flying off of Logel now that the spaceport is open.
Or is able to be, or DFS ships that is able to be used by us, I guess, because it was open before, just not under our control, right?
True, yes. Yeah, but exactly. I think there were a lot of traders and whatnot, and, just heavy goods vehicles and whatever.
Yeah. People that hadn't paid the fee to CalazCon to be official vendors.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah, Jesus Christ. I'm not selling third-party merchandise on this fucking planet. Are you kidding me?
I'm imagining this is before any DFS reinforcements coming in as well, because I know that those ships are sort of... I don't know.
She doesn't really want to be here by the time proper bureaucracy lands.
Yeah, there's definitely a window where we have control of the spaceport, because I think ultimately this is part of the reason why Mike was pushing to get the spaceport, because he knew there would be a window like this that would be useful,
That's sweet.
Also tactics.
Naturally. So it's the shot of True in the cockpit of the truck. She's talking the long reach, but the shot is of True. She's got her controls up. I think, she puts on some piece of media or something, sets the truck onto autopilot. It says something like, destination, 3 weeks. It's the Google Maps home marker. And she sits back in her chair, puts her feet up on the console, and closes her eyes. Matt?
Yeah, so in the immediate aftermath of Goliath falling, I think... it's also important to remember the Vector Mantis got really wrecked up in that fight, so there's definitely a serious degree of, repairing that mech. But also, as we've discussed, Mike thinks this is going to go one way, and as we've discussed in terms of the drive clock expenditure, it's not going to go that way, but he is very convinced, this is going to go the way that he thinks we're going to get the recognition that we need, or him specifically. He's making calls about that. He's, from a battle perspective, after Goliath falls, do we think there's immediate going back into conflict against Yevangol, or is there a little bit of a lull?
I mean, there's still a ceasefire at this point, isn't
Yeah.
there? Or is that only until...
The terms of a ceasefire were always until Goliath goes down, so no, I don't think so. I believe that's how it went down. I believe that's the terms. I think the answer is, yeah, there isn't much of a break, but also the fighting is kind of cleaning up, isolated skirmishes. The Evangelion front is never coming back to what it was.
Yeah, so there'll be a degree of, I was going to say a degree of doing missions, but no, the immediate weeks, it's going to take a little bit of time I think I'd like to sell the damage that's been done here. And I think, during this period, would it make sense to do it? Yeah, it's a big battle. He's feeling reckless now. I think now would be the point where he does basically try and ask Ipse out. I'm not particularly interested in RPing that out, but I think that will be a thing that happens.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And depending on how that goes from Ipspace's perspective, I might have another follow-up scene for that, which I think is interesting. But I think, does that cover me okay for the immediate weeks? I think he's very sad. We've basically had a scene regarding True as well, right? So there's a lot of it covered in that. He is quite sad after True leaves, but he does start to potentially pick up after a bit.
Yeah. I mean, even if you don't want to play out the whole asking Ipse out thing, do we learn how that goes, or should we save that until we go into more detail on what Ipse is up to?
I can elaborate on that when we get to me.
Yeah.
Ominous. I can go.
Yeah, please.
Julius Thermidor is having a manic episode. I don't know if you're aware of this, listener. I'm not sure if that was something that you were quite aware of. Julius Thermidor is very sad. He's a sad man. He has many problems, and he thinks he fixed himself. He thinks it's done, right? I did a fairly obvious metaphor, because what is a finale for but big obvious metaphors of him removing the part of his mech that belonged to his dead lieutenant so that he could move around more freely. And he would like to think he's fine now, that he is the grief, that's a thing of the past, right? Guilt, yeah, whatever, I'm fine. I am fighting for something that matters, and there is a scruffy middle-aged mechanic that I have just decided is the center of the universe now. And I think he's just he's constantly doing stuff. He's not sleeping very much. He's very friendly in a way that is kind of unsettling. It's just nobody's used to this, right? It's a sort of a distant sort of gotta go, gotta keep going, but also just he's very nice to everybody. He's very hyped to go out on missions and so forth, and he is hanging on Mike's every word.
Nice.
Indeed.
Oh yeah, and he's getting along with Ipse. That's I feel a component of this,
Wild.
Which is that he is
God.
Because of the ending that they had together, right? The little moment of solidarity they shared. Part of this whole episode that he's having is that he has convinced himself that, oh, actually Ipse's fine. It's cool. We're cool now. It's fine. We're fine.
Cool.
Shall I go me now?
All right.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think in the weeks after Goliath, I think Ipse is keeping a different kind of busy, but still very active. I think it's something big just happened. There's still a lot more work to be done kind of attitude. I do have a question, which is what happened with Renee after Goliath?
Oh, we pushed him down a well. He's still down there. Sometimes I can still hear his voice.
That's a good question.
Editors, can you put Elspeth's voice through an echo filter so it sounds like she's at the bottom of a well? Thanks.
Given that Renee was kind of a deeply spineless and unprincipled man who would keep making excuses and putting terminal company in dangerous positions indefinitely, is part of spending your drive clocks actually removing him?
Oh,
Yes.
I kind of like that.
Yes.
How do you think you get rid of him?
Okay, I think I want to pitch this as part of my thing for the weeks following Goliath, is Renee attempts to come back, and Ipse actually stands up to him, him, Renee?
Yes, correct, yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, actually does stand up to him, and regardless of like whether or not he sticks around a little bit, ends up kind of doing a lot of the stuff he's meant to be doing. Because I'm just like, you're going to fumble this. If you come back right now, you're going to throw away all the advantage we just gained. So I end up doing a lot of, I'm not making a bid to be direct superior, but I am doing someone needs to do this who isn't you. And I think that leads to basically his authority getting completely undermined, and eventually he'll leave in the time after these few weeks. More permanently. And we can discuss who replaces him when we get to like a year later. But does that make sense?
That does make sense, because it's knowledge amongst Terminal Company that he bailed.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's very much like, he'll go up to the bar and like, oh, I'll have a whiskey on the rocks, and the bartender will just turn around and just walk somewhere else,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's what Ipse is busy doing, is taking a little bit more of a, like I said, sort of stepping into that role a tiny bit, just on a temporary basis, to be like, no, you can't handle this right now. And I think when Mike comes to ask me out, my answer is, I want that, but not right now, because there is so much to be done.
I think Mike takes this in stride. He outwardly takes it as well as you can expect. Internally, Spanners has a night.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
This is really the Yowie faction, huh?
Somehow.
That's what I've been saying the entire time.
I
haven't.
I do have another question for you, Elspeth, actually. What happens with Sir in these couple of weeks, do you know? So I think Mike would also have checked in with this at some point over these couple of weeks as well, to make sure there wasn't any issue with Goliath stepping on their warehouse or something.
Oh God! I hope we kept up to speed with that.
That's a good question.
Maybe it would make more sense to come back to that at the year point, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, bear that in mind.
Oh, how do things go with Slipaway, by the way? Any Slipaway news in the next few weeks?
Oh, yes, because the other thing of not having any additional drive clocks, or not having two, is that we cannot fully defeat the rival.
We cannot kill Slipaway Bolt.
No, I wasn't even thinking. I wasn't thinking about killing. Like, I was maybe thinking we could get them to join Terminal Company, but alas, had we one more drive clock, perhaps that would have been an option. But no.
Yeah, I think Slipaway remains convinced that the best way to fight for people you care about is to stay a long, long way away from them. Does Mike try to recruit them? Like, try to send a message?
Not at the couple of weeks point, I don't think.
No.
So, it's a year after Goliath fell. And True is... she's leaving home again. She goes back and forth. She'll work, like 3 weeks on, 1 week off. I think Esme works from home. I don't know what she does. They have like I think I described it as like a hangar or something. It's like an old Air Force base kind of energy style place, right? And so, they get a nice week together, and True, lies about having a job to do, takes off along with Longreach and in the truck, and the cargo canisters are empty. We didn't deal with Longreach's drive. we didn't deal with Longreach wanting to ensure that they're the last of their kind. And so AI core-based weapons continue to be created. And True continues to try and not even stop them, because she does believe that these are life, right? But it's True flying into war zones. It's True flying into messes of bombed out scientific research stations, of literal active, fire drills and things like that. Finding these weapons and giving them the choice. Asking them if that's what they want to be or not. And pulling them out of that where she can. And I think this works to an extent. I think, they have a couple more artificial beings which are hanging out around True's little compound. And a couple more who are out, on the AI Discord server. And a couple more who decide, hey, I was born to be a gun, maybe I want to be a gun for now. And that's fine. I mean, their life. Longreach probably doesn't like it, but this is True trying to make it up to them. True doesn't know that she didn't complete a drive, but she feels it.
Yeah.
I know the DFS splits in two. The inciting incident seems to be that's due to ethics of human experimentation. I can't help but notice that the word there is human experimentation. Folks assure me that, that would include all sentient beings and so on. But I do think the world contains the shitty kind of people who would be like, but it says human experimentation. So, I don't think necessarily, True goes into the Evangelion Empire for this. True goes into the DFS for this. True goes into the second worst DFS for this.
Yeah. I was going to say that I think in terms of what Sir's up to and whether Sir figures into this, I think part of the whole point of the stuff with Sir was Sir has a right to not be involved in war. I think it's important when you don't get Sir being your cool news sidekick or whatever. So I almost think the reason I'm having trouble is just I feel like Sir gets involved in something which is pointedly not military, which kind of just really opens up the whole field. Something that occurs to me, and I don't know if it feels slightly too corny, is after that conversation during downtime with Mike, does Sir end up getting involved in sports somehow?
Mike would be the proudest pseudo father ever if that was the case. That would be as Matt's the player, there was a part in the back of my mind that I'd completely forgotten about that was hoping that would be something that would happen. So yes, that would.
Aww.
What would that constitute as an AI?
It could be not like gambling assistants, but like a pundit, like a talking head.
I think you could have a body and compete as well. I think that wouldn't be an issue.
True.
Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah.
They run a team, but they are the team. They have 6 bodies.
I'm not sure if we established if the sport that they were watching, which I don't think we ever. I know wasn't Gunball an alternate one.
Yeah.
Because Sir was thinking, wouldn't it be better if they had guns? And Gunball failed. Does Sir try and bring Gunball back?
Oh God.
God, maybe. I mean, Sir has the resources to get involved in a lot of different pursuits here.
We don't have to pin down exactly, but I think something sports-based is very appealing to me.
I think that maybe to sort of reflect this sort of unfulfilled drive and the costs that come with it, and sort of the contrast of these two different paths between Longreach and Sir. I think whatever the specifics of what Sir's doing, the main image we get, if you're okay with this, True, is just Sir watching a game or something, and
go Ironmongers.
Yeah, Sir's Sir's obviously got a life going on, has other artificial intelligences in its network talking this through, humans that it's met and befriended. But I think there's There's an empty seat where Sir was hoping someone would have the time to show up.
Is that alluding
Yeah, I think
to... sorry, go on, Fee.
I assumed that was true. Who is
Who
it?
in Longreach? Yeah.
Yeah, they're busy.
Mm-hmm. Who else do we need to hear from?
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, I don't know. Fucking, what is going on with Julius? He's not... Manic episodes don't last a year, so, like... What's going on with Mike and Julius?
So, I can come in with the Mike stuff here, because it might colour some of the scene here, because this is about a year in. CalazCon has left at this point, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
They'll have left and packed up and gone to do that. So the theatre of battle has reverted back to what it was at the start. But things have changed significantly, you know. Fishy's been making plays. The city it's had the crap kicked out of it by Goliath to a certain extent. And unfortunately for Mike, there are 2 drive clocks unfulfilled, or two potential drive clock expenditures here that are quite pertinent. The first is that we did not spend the drive clocks for Mike to succeed in his drive. And as we've gone past the kind of several weeks period, Mike has now realised after about a year that it's not happening. And he's not happy about it at all. Like, Mike perceives this as getting screwed over by the DFS in general. And after all of the support that both he and Julius helped give for Fishy's drive for the ceasefire in the first place, kind of with Fishy specifically, there was a point where we might have got an additional drive clock from Fishy, but things that happened in the epilogue perhaps got in the way of that. And so reflecting that as partially in universe as well, in terms of Mike feeling aggrieved, he feels like he's been overlooked, and he doesn't like the fact that he's kind of been made into a liar, even though he had absolutely no guarantee that any of this help was going to come in or that he was going to get this. But he's really quite angry about it. And I think this is something he tries to keep out of his interactions with other people. He doesn't want to let it spoil these bonds that he's made, but you know, maybe he's sort of reverting back a little bit to how he was previously. But well, it depends how other stuff pans out, right? But he is not happy at all about not getting this promotion effectively. And the other one is that we didn't defeat Slipaway. So I think Slipaway, you know, after that first couple of weeks, you know, comes back as a threat, because it's the Vermin is the squad that they have been part of, right?
Yeah, but part of what happened in the final mission was that after CalazCon managed to steal back the Hope of Calazar from Slipaway and the Vermin, and attacked and presumably hurt or killed some of their friends in the process, that was when Slipaway decided, okay, the best way for me to help my friends is to stay the hell out of their way. CalazCon know that I can pilot this thing. I'm going to do that, collect a big paycheck, and send it on to them. So I think Slipaway's still around, and yes, it's still a threat, but in a much more sort of sad way. Slipaway becomes known as this sort of becomes this sort of sad, desperate, sort of mercenary who's known for haunting the battlefields.
Could I pitch you on that was kind of becoming a mercenary was definitely what I was kind of feeling, but could I pitch you that Slipaway is somehow, if it's not been established as happening anywhere else, as getting the Hope of Calazar back?
Yeah.
And that being their ORV.
Yeah. What was once a symbol of the commitment they had made to protect and strive for better things with their friends is now more a symbol of how they decided they had to walk away from that. Yeah. CalazCon has collapsed. The whole spectacle with it and Goliath was a mess. Yeah, I can imagine that Slipaway would be able to just quietly walk away with that or get it at a discount or something. Yeah.
They might have even dumped it somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Because I quite like it if they did dump it and like Slipper was able to come across it and repair it, because that's basically what happened with the Vector Mantis and Mike. Like he found that as a discarded mech.
Mm.
And I'm just trying to think: is there an appropriate name we could call the renamed Hope of Calazar to represent like this, like the money talks or something like that, right?
Or is it? Do we go the other way? Do we because in theory, Slipway thought they were trying to fight for their friends. Is it called the Hope of Hestiol, but the name feels like kind of grim and tragic?
I kind of like the Hope of Hestiol.
Mm.
I had one other idea for a scene as well, but it was potentially a reaction depending on how things went with Ipse. So I might wait to see what is said there. And Julius, does that give you any? Like, because I think we clash. I think we clashed with Slipaway. I think Mike and probably by extension Julius ended up clashing with the Hope of Calazar a lot, and it not being a particularly clear-cut victory. Like, I have in my notes that it gets a bit Team Rockety, but I think that might be a little bit too nice. Like, there was mutual respect at the end, but I think the Hope of Hestiol and Slipaway are kind of a thorn in our side as we're trying to press, because we know ultimately, you know, we'll get onto it, what the end point from other epilogues is regarding control of Hestiol and Logal. But I think at this point we're definitely pushing forward and we seem to be winning, but there's this one mercenary that's causing us trouble, right? Does that make sense, Julius?
Yeah. I'm just thinking, like, is it weird? Is it getting weird?
Does sound like it might be getting weird.
Mike is what, in his 30s?
Yeah.
There's a man full 20 years older than him. 25. Follows him around like a puppy. That feels like it would be weird after a year.
Oh, I see. Sorry. Yes, in terms of... I mean, I don't know. It is... I mean, it is the army. Like, does Mike outrank Julius? No, Julius technically outranks Mike.
I feel like at some point somebody made that so I think Julius requested a demotion at some point. I think that he would prefer not to give any orders, thank you very much. Right? I feel like there has been, I don't necessarily think we should get into it, but like a reshuffling in the terminal company hierarchy.
I mean, in some ways, I think in terms of it getting weird, like, could it be like an internal, external thing? Because from the outside, I'm sure, you know, if we're getting because reinforcements probably will have arrived within a year, right? From the rest of the DFS. Like if we're starting to push out and start to take over more. Like from the outside, even if, you know, Mike hasn't gotten this recognition as an ace, you know, we still would have a reputation of being like a powerful duo, like in terms of ORV combat, right? So I think from the outside, it's like, oh yeah, they're hanging around together. You know, of course, it's I don't know if there's a cool nickname that they would have from all that. It's you know, it's Terminal Company. They're the front line. They're hanging around, but maybe it is a bit weird once you get to know them. You know what I mean? It's kind of that dichotomy. Does that make sense?
Sure, but like, how does Mike feel about it?
How does Mike feel about? Oh, I see. So from Mike's perspective, it isn't weird.
Oh, okay. Then that's great. That's perfect.
Mike doesn't think it's weird that you're listening to him, because I think Mike does, for all of his flaws, truly understand the trust that Julius has placed in him by being in this situation. And this is not something that he wants to betray. And he probably does feel quite a lot of guilt that his plan to get everyone out of here hasn't worked. Like, so it's weird in that sense, in that perhaps he might feel that he's perhaps less deserving of it than he was immediately afterwards. Like he doesn't necessarily see himself as the hero now. It's the hero.
Yeah.
Or what was it? The hero is coming.
The hero appears.
Like, he is now doubting that. He is now kind of feeling like he's kind of fucked it up. Does Julius think that Mike has fucked it up?
No.
But Mike is incredibly paranoid that Julius is starting to think that he has in fact fucked it up. I think that's the vibe from Mike's perspective. But at the same time, it's still Mike. He still has some confidence that he can turn it around. But I think there's that anxiety that's come in. Rather than it feeling weird, it's feeling pressure. Does that make sense?
Yeah, right. But like, I think that Julius just is yeah, Mike's doing the work. It doesn't matter to him that Mike is not an ace or Mike is not famous. This is completely irrelevant, right? Julius has been famous, right? He has been renowned Evangelion Captain Julius Thermidor. It didn't do anything for him. It was not a gateway to anything that was good. So this is not relevant to him, right? I think what he's finding is that his life is still pretty empty, right? He is having the bad feelings are coming back. And he is thinking, oh, right, I actually maybe can't just replace the horrible yawning pit inside of me with doing whatever this guy tells me to do. There is not like a resolution to that, really, or even anything open-ended. It's just like, yep, that's where he is.
Yep. Mike is thinking that, Julius might be having these he's wrong. But I think it's getting in the way of the relationship a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. Julius is just like, yep, whatever you say, boss. And Mike is, insecure about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Was that sarcasm? It obviously wasn't. But I think in terms of the actual, drive, it's all going well. We're taking over more of the city. We're taking over more of the planet. It's happening.
Yeah.
Are we saying that some of the split stuff is happening now as well? In terms of DFS? Or is that more between the 1 year and 5 year?
I implied it was.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
I think things can start to happen. At a planetary scale, at least.
Yeah. I think in terms of sides, I'm assuming most of Terminal Company is siding with the side that is not doing human experimentation, right?
That seems consistent with our previous characterization, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, are you back around to me?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how much detail I'm interested in terms of Ipse's work once things get back into, post-Goliath stretching out to a year. Because, like I said, I think I want to show that they were very busy after Goliath, and then I think there's a return to a lot of how we saw Ipse acting during the missions, but maybe finally trying to be a little bit less intense. And I think part of that is also going back to Mike and saying, okay, maybe it's about a year later, maybe it's a little bit less, quite a few months after Goliath at the very least, and saying things are less busy now. Yeah,
absolutely.
I think Ipse's style of doing this as well is to be okay, things are less busy. I would like to do something. I would like to go on a date. I would like to go to this place. I would like to do this thing. Let's do that. Let's start there. And actually, my picture for this is that what I kind of want from Mike is, honestly, a little bit of what True was kind of trying to encourage me to do, which is, find some time for quiet and myself, but I want Mike there at the same time. So yeah, let's go somewhere here. You can fly me out somewhere.
Yeah,
in your RV if you want, and then let's just sit and enjoy some quiet together.
Absolutely. Although I think it wouldn't be in the RV because there's only one seat in it. But we could probably, I think at this point,
you're telling me you can't mod your RV to add a second seat?
I think he absolutely could, but I think for the first, because Mike's not sure this was even going to happen, right? So I think it'd be interesting to call back to the van, right, that we first installed Sir into, because that's his backup vehicle. True. I think eventually, he will mod to have this additional seat so we can do this in the Vector Mantis. But for the first time, it's out in this old van that's still there, but has had all these modifications done to it. And maybe it's driving out to, somewhere far away from the city. Like you say, somewhere quiet and with some natural beauty. Maybe not necessarily, forests, but maybe, some, cliffs or mountains,
Yeah.
after maybe like a date or two, Mike's coming back into, and feel free to veto this if you think it doesn't make sense, but like Mike's coming back into the base and Birdie's just like, Mechanist Sergeant, can I just have a quick word with you about these reports? It's like, yeah, okay. Mike walks with him into a closed room and all the board squadron are there.
Is Birdie going to shovel talk him?
I think Birdie, because there's a huge amount of respect between like board squadron and Ipse, right? Like Ipse is almost part of that squad. Like there's a lot of protection there.
That's really fun.
And I think Birdie and board squadron give Mike the talk.
I really feel like shovel talk and the talk are different things, but duly noted.
Yeah, perhaps I'm using a different terminology, but you get what I mean, right?
Listen, when a man and a robot love each other very much.
I think it's more like when you mess with one member of board squadron, you mess with all of us. While some of them have got bats, you know. Don't fuck it up.
Julius is not nearly as mature about this and just gives Ipse like a lot of weird looks.
Sorry, yeah, that was my little scene. If that works, I thought that was fun. If it worked,
yeah, definitely.
Nice. Yeah, mm-hmm.
I think that's sweet. Cohorts add a lot of nice texture to squads in Beam Saber. Like, they just make them feel like bigger things than they actually are, because really it's not 4 mech pilots. Or 4 mech pilots and a sentient gun. And another sentient gun. And a sentient mech.
And a doctor.
And Dr. Martin Perfect MD.
There's always a doctor. Everyone ends up like getting
doctor.
one of those permanently.
Yeah, it's useful to have on staff. This makes sense.
5 years?
5 years time.
Yeah.
So
so we killing off Fishy's boyfriend now?
Yeah, I suppose we should talk about that.
Can I give my pitch?
Pitch it.
Cool. This is an operation that Mike and Julius come up with. It is off the books, and it is intended to basically stop the Serpent's Fang from getting a foothold back in the planet, right? Like, we get wind of some sort of, like, situation which is, like, not military, which, like, we would not count as truce breaking, but would absolutely, like, result in, like, some sort of a military action, and we decide the brass isn't fucking doing anything about this. We have to take things into our own hands. And Ipse won't sign the papers.
So what sort of situation is this that it's like non-military but could give Virgin Evangelions a foothold back on again?
Smuggling weapons.
Oh, smuggling weapons, yeah.
Because I don't think there's currently a truce. So we're pushing, right?
Arming local...
Yeah.
Arming locals, right? It's like bandit groups and shit. Right? And they just get given, Jovangelian weapons.
Because this isn't even necessarily in Hestial. Like, the at this point in the timeline, like, this is pushing out over the entirety of local, right? So... sorry, you were pitching that we were giving the civilians weapons, or that Jovangel was giving the...
Jovangel was giving them, right? It was a, they're arming local mercenary groups.
Right, okay. It's okay if you don't have a suggestion for this, but just because we haven't really heard from her yet, does the squad's response to this involve Morn Marza at all? If so,
I'm
how?
thinking about Morn Marza a bit. Where would Morn Marza be in all of this, like 5 years on?
Yeah, that's the thing. I think, because at this point, 5 years on, we're getting to the point where Rogel is an increasingly well-established colony of the DFS. Correct?
Yes. Oh, and actually, that's a good point.
Right.
This is the point where the fact that the... Because at this point, there's definitely been a hard split into the DFS into 2 separate factions, one of which is the non-experimenting faction, which we're ostensibly part of, or have been part of up to this point, and they commit to not doing wars of aggression. Could what Julius and Mike's plan is infringe on that specifically side of things, or is quite close to it?
Yeah. No, it feels like it would
intent.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, technically not. I guess it's technically an ongoing conflict, but it's something that could be pitched in such a way that would be politically bad optics,
It would look bad, right? And I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like I think Ipse would just not be down for it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is where we work in Ipse as a worm, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Is that we do not get the support we need, right? And that's why we lose Birdie.
Yeah. So I think to answer your question of what's with Mon Martha, I think in some ways she's in the same place she was before, where she's this sort of uncomfortable liaison between the native Evangelian civilians and the DFS occupying forces. I don't think she's going to join the DFS, but I also don't think that she'd be with these aspiring revolutionary mercenaries that you're talking about. I think that she's this really awkward go-between who's caught in this deeply compromising position and has really sort of compromised her principles in the hope that by working with the DFS instead of against them, maybe she can make a bit of a material difference.
So is this just the end of her association with Terminal Company? We were doing okay, right? We had a good working relationship, and it's we kind of broke a truce.
Yeah,
that puts her in a difficult situation. I kind of wanted Julius to have one friend, but besides Mike,
we can play this one way. We can play this as she is so deeply compromised that she tips you off, and she says, "And I think that violence is the solution."
Oh yeah, I like that better.
Yeah, I think that we can play it that way. Yeah. That
I like Morn. Morn's good.
Yeah, but you're partially motivated to do this and go against DFS orders because, your contact, for better or worse, suggests it.
Mm-hmm. What does it look like, the Ipse betrayal?
Yeah, I'm trying to let's get the detail down.
In the Mass Effect dialogue box, he presses the red one instead of the blue one.
So specifically as well, just because this is some stuff we discussed off mic, this is sending Board Squadron and Birdie in to do some kind of Black Ops specifically, right?
Yeah.
It's off the record, it's the greater good, it's trying to diffuse this before it becomes a bigger thing, and, of course, violating a ceasefire.
Yeah, or something that could be pitched in that way,
Yeah. The obvious thing that we would just want the specifics for is you need Ipse's institutional pull to requisition X resource, and they say no, we can't risk them knowing, or no, if you're doing this, then at the very least I'm keeping my hands clean of it, or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if we want to make it a little extra, then maybe it's you are trying to bid to get RV support on this mission, and that's the kind of thing where I'm that's too much, there's no way we can commit to that, it's too obvious.
Yeah, is it that Julius wanted to go?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right, and then he can't.
Oh, and Mike as well, I guess, right? Because
right, yeah, Mike and Julius both wanted to go.
Because we're the two at this point, two of the big frontline fighters in RVs, right? Because in terms of, because at this point the Terminal Company is getting bigger. At this point, we'll have had, I'm not sure exactly how many, but some of the 86 have been rolled in. Some of the Farm Upstate have been rolled in, and as we're getting bigger, more and more troops, more and more reinforcements are coming in, and it's starting to be Terminal Company is it's less of a company, more of a higher umbrella for a number of squads like us, and none of us can be spared for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think in some ways maybe Ipse even has a bit of, in this case, too much confidence in Board Squadron getting it done on their own. And says, no, they can handle it themselves, and this mission is already on the line of what we can do without overstepping our regulations. So, no, there's no way we can start deploying the RVs on this. I don't think it's, as we kind of said, my decision, but I think Ipse is a bit more tuned into the command structure at this point, and kind of maybe could have argued for this. And got it signed off, but I make the call in the end that no, we just want to send Bolt Squadron.
Yeah, and what happens is they go in, and Birdie dies. He dies getting the rest of them out, and then we have to disappear the rest of them, right? Like, you know, even like our direct superiors think they're dead, because they are in extremely a lot of trouble because they maybe broke a truce, and a lot of diplomatic shit has to happen, and we just need them out. So they, you know, Command gets various letters about the tragic deaths of the members of Board Squadron, and almost all of those things are not true.
Yeah. Birdie definitely does die here, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And maybe a couple of others, but it's not the whole of the
Yeah, it's not a wipe.
Yeah.
Can I jump from that right into where Julius is at?
Go for it, yeah.
I'm curious.
Man is devastated. He was not there. It happened again. Right? Like, he was... Listen, it's 5 years out. He was getting better. You know, he had Mike. He was starting to get a little bit more normal about Mike. He probably has, like, friends. He probably was getting along with Ipse pretty well at that point. Whatever's going on with their relationship, he was, you know, could come to terms with that, right? He probably gets along pretty well with Mor Marza. I think that's like one of the only positive NPC relationships that he had, and I think that they're nice, right? They're good together. And yeah. It's like, God, I don't know how dark I want to get with this, right? He's not like he's making it out of this one alive, but like he goes off the rails for a while.
Yeah.
Right? He starts putting himself in dangerous situations in a way that he hasn't in years, right? And it's like Mike can tell at this point, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure.
Mike knows like really exactly what Julius looks like when he's being self-destructive, and this is like we are back to peak self-destructive Julius, right? He is throwing himself into situations that are extremely unsafe because he's hoping he can die for someone, right? And he probably comes around eventually, right? He probably comes back, but it is like bad for a minute.
I think there's a point where Mike doesn't let Julius go out on missions that he's not that on.
Yeah, right. And that's the only way you can stop it, because these like Mike's the only one he's listening to. Yay.
And this is sort of at the same time when all this is going on that the DFS is succeeding more and more and more and getting to the point where we are basically controlling Logal, right? In the name of this.
Yeah.
This
half of the DFS.
Half of the DFS, you know? Like, we're winning, ostensibly. Except we're not in a lot of other ways.
Yeah.
We're winning, big picture.
War is sometimes bad to be in.
Well, who knew?
If only we'd seen that Gundam meme earlier.
Damn.
I thought it was ironic.
Is there a scene when Mike is going through this despondency and we get a callback to like really early Terminal Company, and it's like it's Julius's turn to pick a movie for movie night, and he's just not able to come up with something because he's so distracted, you know?
Yeah.
But instead of it being Renee, it's like Mike's going, you got to pick something for movie night.
God. How's True?
So, True's dyed her hair again. It's kind of scrappy green for most of the narrative. By this point, it's like, you know, red, mostly. Again, you can see the kind of black bleeding through it. She kisses Esme on the cheek. She says she'll be back in a couple of weeks, same as usual. And the truck takes off. It's not the same truck. She goes through these, like, especially in the last 5 years, trying to give these AI weapons the choice, as the DFS itself is splitting in half. This is her third truck since Logal, and it's a mirror of the earlier shot. It's True in the cockpit of this truck. She has her trucker hat off, her ears are tense, her teeth are gritted. She's leaning hard against the controls, and, maybe while earlier she was leaving Legel in this kind of pale blue light, I think here it's all red and warning klaxons and alarms, flashing lights. And a couple of weeks later, on Legel, a truck lands. And it's not True. Some trucker that True knows was told if they didn't hear from True in a couple of weeks to go to this location and pick up a cargo container, not to open it, and to leave this to Michael Carmichael, head of the end of the line on Legel. And inside this cargo container is Longreach. And they're absolutely fucking inconsolable. True doesn't make it out. She realized whatever this was, whatever this last mission was, it was probably going to be the big one. Maybe it was a cluster of AI weapons, maybe someone had gotten wise to what she was doing, because she wasn't exactly subtle, and even if you dye your hair, people do recognize you. And so she tried to send Longreach back to somewhere safe, and to somewhere where she knew they'd be cared for. Oh, and the cargo container. She needed to make sure it was something only Mike could open. So, you remember the scrapbook she gave Mike? It's got a USB card in the back. It says, it's that voicemail. It's, you got the blues. It's a USB socket on the door.
This is incredibly sad.
Miserable!
Well, that's why I told you I didn't want to wipe out the entire squad. It's no fun if everyone else dies as well.
Well, here's the thing. We fulfilled the drive. Terminal company survived.
Yeah, exactly.
No!
She was a contractor. She's an outside agent.
How are we all taking this? Like, what is the... Oh, God. Like,
Mike is destroyed.
What's going on with these three assholes?
Like, Julius might have to be the one... After this happens, Julius might have to be the one consoling Mike because he's not doing good. Like, I think as soon as he receives this box, he kind of knows what's up. Like, there's a part of his brain that, like, pattern recognizes this. And it's just like, oh no. Oh no. And... yeah, he is... also inconsolable. Like, he probably, like, leaves. Like, Ipse and Julius probably don't know where he is and eventually find him, and he's gone and taken...
This is what brings Julius back down. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I got excited.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like,
right?
like, Mike
he
goes...
has to go find Mike.
Mike goes missing, and I think eventually you find him and he's taken Longreach to Sir. Like, I think that's the thing that makes sense, assuming it's still on... Logal, right?
Yeah, or at least like has some presence there. Yeah, definitely.
And maybe we get the mirror of that scene with the empty seat, except Mike sitting in it. No, is it worse if Mike is sitting in the seat or is deliberately keeping it empty?
Keeping it empty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the thing that Julius knows how to do. Like, he can talk Mike through this. He knows how this one goes, actually. Oh.
Yep. And
God.
I want to talk Longreach through this, because I know how that goes. So...
Oh, shit. Yeah.
How does everyone feel about Ipse right now?
Good question.
I think there's about 2 weeks where Longreach just doesn't speak. And it's not a hardware issue.
Yeah.
They seem aware. They seem... shell-shocked feels kind of ironic, but I don't think they talked for a while after that.
Yeah, like, in terms of how we feel about Ipse, I think there was definitely... Like, I don't want to put... Like, I want to leave some blank spaces as well for the folks at home to fill stuff in. But I don't want to go too much into, the ins and outs of the Mike and Ipse relationship. But I think there is definite strain. Mike's needs probably outweigh, like, any anger he has at that point, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I think at this point, Ipse obviously wants to be there for Mike. And like I said, I think I also see... I mean, it's been a while since I've seen Longreach, and I think in that time it's probably given Ipse a bit of time to think about how maybe things could have gone better back when Longreach was with the squad, and sure as hell not leading with trying to apologise, just trying to see if there is anything I can do, because Ipse would have a lot of sympathy here.
This is an intensely queasy situation, because Julius does not trust Ipse and will never trust Ipse again. But like,
oh yeah,
Mike needs Ipse right now. So Julius is just like, okay, sure.
I think there's a lot of coming into a room where one of us is already trying to be there for Mike, and kind of awkward silence. One of us leaves, one of us stays.
Yeah.
We're taking shifts and not talking to each other still.
Yep.
Because Mike does need Julius in this time as well. Like, they're both different. Yeah. It's... Sorry, go on.
Oh, no, I was all I had. I just think that's just a delightfully awful situation, right? And we all have to work together still, right? We all still have to do our fucking jobs, right? Mike gets a little bit of leave, right? Like, Mike gets, like, you know, some time off for bereavement, sure, whatever, but, like, we gotta go back, we gotta do our fucking jobs.
Because we now, at this point, are getting to the level where Terminal Company it's ostensibly controlling the planet, right?
I don't know if it's controlling the planet, but we're a significant force on the planet, I think, is
we're like
where
a tier 4 faction or what have you, right? Like, significant.
And there's this mercenary causing troubles as well in this incredibly fast way.
Right.
You can't trust those third-party contractors.
Mike, Julius, and Ipse in this, like, uncomfortable, incredibly codependent dynamic, and they have to keep going.
God, I can't believe it, like, earlier when Theo was saying, like, no, we shouldn't kill everyone. I thought it was like, okay, that's nice. Theo is sparing the squad for Blade, when actually I should have fucking known. It's actually more like, no, I've got a nicer blade. I've got a cool sword. Right,
I've stolen the blade for myself.
This one's really jagged. It's got texture to it.
There's a lot of texture. I stand by it. And that's how you win Beam Saber.
We don't normally sign off, but this has been, real good. I've been done. And it's been, hell of a ride. That was a really good epilogue. I was, super happy with it.
I've been Matt, like I said at the start. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Hi. Bye. I've been Sabriel. It's been a pleasure.
I've been Philo. I'll continue to be Philo, probably. If you like this, listen to the other 5 squads, goddamn.
I bet they did.
We hope you enjoyed this. I hope you did. You know what, if you're still the same person who was on the bus, then fair enough, I get it. That's pretty long. I don't know how long your commute is, but that feels like a lot of audio content. Thank you for listening. This was a lot to make. This was a lot to record just now. And look after yourself, whatever happens, I'm proud of you.
I've been Elspeth. If you're still here after all of that, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to CalazCon. This episode was edited and sound balanced by Christine Blight. You can reach her for voice acting at cvblight@gmail.com. The show's music is by Devin Nelson. You can find them on all social media at Devin Decibel. If you'd like to support CalazCon, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/CalazCon. Please tell your friends about the show too. Remember, all glory to Calazar.